Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We finally got there in the end, but can you hear me?
Can't hear again.
What? You not hear me?
Can't hear you again.
What? For your headphones?
Generally can't hear you again.
Your headphones?
Let me try that quickly.
Your earbuds was the thing. Hello?
Why has this happened now? Wait, speak.
Hello? What? I don't understand.
Oh no.
I don't understand. Why is it not working again?
We've literally just got this to work and now
Yeah.
it's stopped.
Oh my god.
Oh, this is not a good start, is it?
No.
Hopefully Fulham start better than this on a Saturday.
I have no idea what's
Wait,
going on there.
I don't know if it's do it last time.
Hold on.
Wait, speak.
Hello?
No. Wait, is this on? No, this cannot be happening right now.
I don't understand. It should be working. I don't know why it's not working now.
One
Yeah,
sec,
can't you hear
let me
me now?
disconnect it from this one.
Can hear you both, apparently. Someone said he can hear you both.
Right.
Look.
So I've literally got.
Alright, okay.
No.
Can you hear me alright?
So I've got it here now.
Okay. Can you hear me alright? My dad says he can hear both of us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine now. But
Okay,
it's on my phone.
Thank God. Okay, so let's get into it then.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let's get into it then. Alright. So on Saturday we're playing Fulham. And there's loads of ex-Spurs players and stuff like that. So let's get into it. You guys signed Willian today, right? Yeah, you signed Willian. You got Dan James on the way. Well, he's not exactly at Spurs, but you got Carlos Vinicius.
Yes.
Carlos Vinicius. Is that deal going to happen? Do you know it's going to happen? Hello?
So Carlos is, I think, 4.3 million at the moment.
Yeah,
We're
4.3.
currently in talks with him. I'm not sure. Dan James is going through medical at the moment.
Is it? Oh, okay. So, but what do you think of the signings? Because we've been linked with Dan James as well. Do you think he'll be a good signing for Fulham or not?
I mean, Dan James is a headless chicken. Like when we saw him play at United, he was running around like a headless chicken half the time, and he. I'd love for him to score a couple of goals, but he hasn't really got a good goal scoring record at the same time.
So, what are your feelings going into the game on Saturday? Like, because Spurs, like for me, we've played all right so far, yeah, but we haven't had a convincing game really. So, do you think Fulham are going into the game thinking, "Oh, we can get someone over Tottenham" or not?
I mean, I thought we almost got a point against Arsenal. I said before the game, we've got Arsenal and Chelsea in a week, and I would love to get 2 points out of it. So coming into the Tottenham game, you can put as much pressure on us as we can, but we'll try find a way to get Mitro on the ball.
I hate to know you're right. But yeah, so in terms of Mitrovic, right? We've been messaging for the past week, and you've told me that
Yeah.
Silva's got the best out of him, right? So do you think Mitrovic can make a real difference for Fulham compared to say other times you guys have come to Tottenham and not got a result this time compared to before?
I mean, Marco Silva's made Mitchell an absolute beast the last 2 seasons. Last season he broke the record and everything, and this season he's got 5 in 5 at the moment. And if he gets 38 goals, I'll be over the moon. But that's me dreaming. Um, but he's a threat. He is a massive threat for Fulham. For us. So it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. But do you think there are any other players that you have right now that can hurt Tottenham, apart from some of the ones I mentioned? Like I spoke about Willian, just because he's got that thing against Tottenham. Is there anyone else that you think can hurt Tottenham on Saturday?
Um, Andres Pereira, he's very
Pereira?
electric in the middle. We've also got Cabano. He's like a little twinkle toe on the wings. It's beautiful. Bobby Decordova-Reid. If we keep him wide, he is so threatening. The more in the middle he is, the less threatening he is.
All right, okay. I have to admit I don't really know many of the Fulham players apart from Mitrovic and some ex Spurs ones. But looking at uh, Sessegnon for Tottenham, yeah. What do you Fulham fans think of Sessegnon? Because I kind of want an honest assessment from someone who's seen him over like a longer period of time, right? So what do you guys think of Sessegnon when you had him? Because the papers kind of for me made him into a player, and then Spurs kind of bought him, and then I expected to see a better player in terms of like more like Danny Rose because he was earmarked as his replacement. But like, what can Spurs fans expect from Sessegnon, and what did you as a Fulham fan think of Sessegnon? And like, what just tell me what was Sessegnon like at Fulham? Number one first.
I think he started off as left back, and then he went on to left wing, and he even became our top goal scorer in the Championship one season. He Fulham fans to have no hatred towards him. You'll probably even hear us singing Session's name
Oh
when
wow.
his name gets out because there's so much love for him.
As in, but do you guys used to? Did you personally rate him as a player or not? Did you rate Sessegnon or not?
What do you mean? Like he came for our youth system.
Yeah, but did you rate him as a player when he was at Fulham? Did you think he had
I did. I
ability?
rated him.
You rate him, okay. But like, what attributes do you think, for example, Spurs can use with him to make us better? Because right now we have Perisic.
Um, he's got so much pace. He can run down that wing. Even if he doesn't play left wing back and Conte wants to play him left wing, he's got the ability to go forward. He's got the finishing ability as well.
But with Sessegnon, when you guys got promoted, right? Uh, From what I remember, at least, I don't think he had a very good season in the Premier League. What do you think the difference this time around when playing for Tottenham under Conte compared to when you guys came up?
I mean, you're talking about that season, and we did not have a very good season overall. So it's very hard to say how an individual played that season because we had such an awful season overall.
But like, for example, Sessegnon was kind of not crucified by the press, but he was sort of criticised by some Fulham fans from what I saw online and just other fans because for me, when Sessegnon joined Tottenham, like I said, there was a very high expectation from him, especially signed under someone like Pochettino. But do you think that also the change of managers of Tottenham has disrupted him a lot?
I was literally about to say that about the change of management because it is so hard to try stay consistently well, and then you get a different philosophy coming in here and there. Session is a good player, but he went out on loan to Hoffenheim for one season. Is it Hoffenheim? He went out for
Yeah,
one
yeah,
season.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how he did out there, but I'm happy he's come back to Spurs. I'm happy he's proved himself.
But do you, as in what, as Spurs fans, can we expect from Sessegnon in the future? You think?
I mean, hopefully more starts. Paris with Perisic being there, it's so it's good experience. It's good mentoring from Perisic's side, and hopefully he learns some traits from Perisic,
So you,
and hopefully more pace, more. Hopefully he starts pushing up more forward because he can finish. I mean, 70. I know, all right, it's a championship, but he got goals.
what I've noticed, for example, this season with Sessegnon, is that before he wasn't making as many runs compared to this season, again the same in those attacking positions. But can we as Spurs fans expect Sessegnon to get the ball and go past players? Because I haven't seen that much at all in his 3 years at Tottenham. Like, do you think?
I mean, he's got the ability 100% to run past players. He has got that in his locker. Like, I remember the first game I saw him, I think it was Fulham versus Hull in the FA Cup. And I think he must have been like 16, 17. And he absolutely rinsed a Premier League Hull at the time. So
All
he's
right,
got the ability.
he's got the ability. So do you see Conte? Do you see Sessegnon working in the Conte system then?
100%. He's had a good start to the season. You know, he's going to get there eventually. I mean, Perisic has overtaken, but, you've got, what's it? What's it? You've got like European games, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. He's going to have the opportunity to prove himself even more.
And thoughts on his brother Stephen? Someone made a comment on there.
So, his brother Stephen, he hasn't really been given the opportunity, but I don't think he's as good.
You don't think it's as good as Ryan?
I mean, if he was as good as Ryan, Spurs would have signed him as well.
but looking forward to the game. As a Fulham fan, are you confident going into it? Because you guys are playing really well this year, from what I've seen so far. Or are you guys quite wary because, I mean, we're playing at home against you guys. We're not playing at Craven Cottage. Do you think it'll be a factor, or what do you see happening?
I mean, we haven't won on the road. We drew 0-0 to Wolves, where 50-50 we got lucky because there were so many defensive errors, but then Mitrovic missed a penalty. And then we played Arsenal, where we only had 21% possession, and we managed to nick a goal from an Arsenal defensive error. So I don't know. I'd be happy with a point.
You take a point. So do you see any of your new signings starting on Saturday, like Willian? If you get Vinicius over the line, do you think he'll play him? I mean, anyone else? I don't know. I'm not too sure who else Fulham has signed this summer.
I can't really see them starting. I can see them being on the bench. Marco Silva doesn't like changing his squad. And beating Brighton on Tuesday, I can't see him changing that squad. We played so well against Brighton.
So talking about Marco Silva now, yeah. So what's the difference between when you had him compared to someone like Scott Parker or any other previous managers? Like, what difference has he made? Because Marco Silva was a manager who, for me, he kind of didn't do well at Everton, or was it Watford beforehand? Like, what's so good about Silva being with Fulham? Like, for example, has got the best out of Mitrovic. Like, what's the difference?
Marco Silva, oh, he's just a beautiful man. He's managed to get us playing absolutely beautiful football. He's managed to get us moving the ball more. Like with Scott Parker, it was so boring and passing sideways. And when we were in the Premier League, it was just so defensive. But Marco Silva, he's just shown us how to defend and attack and be able to push forwards and actually take some risks. Parker didn't like taking a risk, and I mean, he had something against Mitrovic when he was in the Premier League last time, where Mitro didn't really play that well, and now he's put his arm around Mitro's, trusted Mitro, has brought the best out of him.
So, do you think Silva has sort of like calmed down Mitrovic, or because you were telling me in messages before saying that he's got Mitrovic dropping off a bit further back and doing some extra things, and his work rate's a lot better. Like, what's the difference between the Mitrovic that we've seen the past 2-3 years, for example, and the Mitrovic now?
Mitrovic in the past, if it didn't go his way, he'd be grumpy, he'd be moody. You'd just see him casually strolling back on side. Now he's running all the way back to defence. Like against Brighton, he managed to get the ball from defence and try to run the length of the pitch still. And he's like an all-round player. He's dropping in to a number 10, but he's still the striker. He's bringing that out of Mitro, making him an all-round player rather than just you got up front, lob the ball to him, Mitro do the rest. No, Mitro will start doing other parts.
So he's added off the ball stuff more to his game compared to last year, which you would say.
Yeah, off the ball stuff, but also he's battling in defence. He's dropping all the way back, winning the ball, and he's just made him into a tank. That's all I can say. He's an animal. Like I messaged you, he's an animal
Yeah.
this season. I'm not going to say he's going to do amazing against Spurs. I'd love him to, but I'm just excited for the game.
But like with Mitrovic, I know I'm touching him a lot, right? But he's a player who's been linked with a lot of other bigger clubs as well. Like he was linked with Spurs for like a short period. I think he was linked with maybe like Chelsea or something, or maybe even Arsenal. But do you see Mitrovic developing into a player who could play for, sorry I have to say this, but like a top 4 club or a top 6 club in the future potentially? Well, obviously, you guys want to keep hold of him, but do you see it happening, or
Definitely, I think he
you think
can,
you think so?
but it's we don't want him to go. He loves the club. He actually loves the club. That's the thing. Like there was there was photos of him in the Chelsea club shop once, and we're all thinking, "Oh my god, he's going to go Chelsea," but his kids support Chelsea, so that's why he was there. And Fulham fans are having a meltdown, thinking, "Oh my god, he's going to go Chelsea." But he's signed a contract. I don't know how much. I think it's got like 2 or 3 years left, and I mean he scored against Arsenal and he's kissing the crap out of that badge. So he loves the club.
So as a Fulham fan, looking at Tottenham and the signings we've made, what is your assessment of Spurs transfer window? And you can talk as much as you like on it. Be as brutal as you want.
I mean Perisic is a very good signing. I think I was like, wow, we're getting Perisic. I wouldn't have expected him to go to Spurs, but obviously you've got Champions League football, so that's a good thing. Basuma, I was surprised on how cheap you got him.
Mm.
Jed Spence, is it Jed Spence?
Yeah.
He's got some time to still develop. He's still young. Who else was there? Richarlison, he's come off the bench and against Nottingham Forest, he made me laugh. His quality. He's got that Conte flair where Conte will bring him on and he'll do anything to rattle the opponent or go on the floor. I mean, he did get kicked in the nuts as well against Nottingham Forest, and everyone thought it was diving. Who else have I missed out? I mean, San Romero now. He's a solid at the
Yeah,
back.
I know. Uh, I mean, in terms of first teamers as a Spurs fan, we only really bought Perisic and Basuma. Fraser Forster's come in as like a backup goalkeeper, so let's not really count him. And Longlay's come in as a backup left-sided centre half. But for me, the big two were Perisic and Basuma. Now, as a Fulham fan, do you see Spurs closing the gap on Chelsea? And I mean, this will be a very big stretch, but City and Liverpool, do you see that happening this season? Or what do you think Spurs need to do, or players to buy, really, to close the gap?
I think closing the gap on Liverpool is going to be a piece of piss. They've not started off very well, but they're signing someone from Juventus today, centre midfielder Arthur. So we don't know what he's like. This is the Premier League. It's the toughest league in the world. So we'll see how he does. City, you've got to try stop Haaland because he's been an animal. I thought Mitchell was an animal this season, but Haaland is doing bits, 2 hat-tricks in 2 games. Like, wow.
But as in, what do you think? What kind of players do you think Spurs need to sign to close the gap on the top 3 or 2?
I mean, I think Spurs needs another midfielder. I think the depth in your midfield isn't as deep as other clubs. You look at Man City and their depth, and they've got a bench that can bring on a second team, and you could still be battered by them. So, you know,
Do you think? I mean, like as a Spurs fan, when I look at our team or squad, however you want to phrase it, I think we need a centre back in the middle of the back three. We need a creative midfielder of some sort who can also kind of play wide as well, especially because we're meant to be letting go of Gil or Lucas. That's the rumor today. And we also need like a right wing back, really, because our right wing backs include Emerson, Spence, who's very raw, Doherty. He's got this injury he can't seem to get over at the moment. He's not played since the season started. And I mentioned Lucas earlier, but Lucas has been experimented playing as a right wing back. So for me, when I look at our team, those are the 3 areas we need to strengthen. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. So, like, for you, like, do you think Spurs can buy players in those areas today? Well, we've got, like, what, 3 hours to strengthen the team or not?
I mean, if you are going to sign players today, it's going to be a panic one, isn't it? But Daniel Levy's a businessman. He knows what he wants, and he doesn't want to spend, like, say if the club says, all right, yeah, this player's worth 20 million. Daniel Levy's the kind of man going, all right, I'll give you 12. So he doesn't like splashing it. But Conte this season has literally got Levy by the throat and said, you're going to spend money this year. You are going to give me what I want. If you want that Champions League football, if you want a trophy, you're going to do as I say, or I'm going at the end of the season.
But do you think then? Do you think Conte's happy with the signings we've made, and do you think he'll stay another season at Tottenham or not?
I can't tell you until the end of the season with that one. It all depends if you Champions League football. I think he'll get that easy. But he's a fiery manager, and I like the fiery managers. He's a winner, but he's a 3-season manager at the same time.
So do you think Spurs will have a new manager in 2025 then? Are you saying?
Probably.
Probably. So, I didn't mention this, but your brother supports Tottenham. Um, what made you, for example, support Fulham and him support Tottenham? I'd like you to tell them the story because it's quite interesting because your dad's Man United, right? As well.
I mean, my brother and dad are now both Spurs season ticket holders. I'm a Fulham season ticket holder, and we're all going to the game together on Saturday.
What?
um, my dad started taking me when I was younger. Like, obviously, I was brought up supporting Man United, but I could never go to the games.
Yeah.
And then he started taking us when Fulham started getting Europa football. And I was like 15, so I was like £1 a ticket for under 16s. So I started going, and then one of my mates was like, he started to go to, he's a Man United fan as well. He started to go Fulham, and we've ended up getting season tickets together, and like about 6 years ago, and just yeah, just it's a club. It's a club that I can actually go to without having to drive or get a train for 4 hours. It's a team in London, and I've just not turned back since. Like, I'm a black and white.
But like for me, like the reason I bring it up because it's quite interesting when you have fans in London supporting teams like Man United and Liverpool, and for me, I don't really get it at all because I've obviously been brought up just supporting Tottenham, and Tottenham is sort of speaking my nearest club to where I live. Okay, you could argue maybe Arsenal as well, but it's basically the same. But like for people who support Man United and Liverpool in London, like what was a big change for you? Is it just going to games or?
Yeah, it's hard to go to games. Like, I don't really want to go to Man United when they only play at Wembley. It's boring. So it's nice to actually go to our home stadium, and it's nice to, with Fulham since to get older, it's it's not easy to go home and away because it still costs money. But I'll get a chance to go to more home and away games without being on a waiting list. I mean, right now with Fulham, we're getting more popular. We're starting to start playing better football, so fans actually want to come back to Craven Cottage and start watching it. But it's easier definitely to go to games in London.
Yeah, because you get, like I said, you get a lot of people in London who support teams in like Liverpool, Manchester, or just other areas. And I guess even when I was growing up, I mean, we're not exactly the same age, there's like a few years difference, but for example, United were like the best team. So it kind of makes sense that people were starting to support United. But then once I went to Tottenham, that was it. I was like, what, like 5 or something? That was it. But also, I'm going to bring up, do you see Fulham signing anyone else today that could make a difference on Saturday?
Dan James, maybe. It'd be nice if he maybe come off the bench. I don't think he'll start. I think all of our signings that we get today will come off the bench. Don't know. It's a tricky one because I can't see our manager changing the team unless there's an injury. That's the only thing I can see really.
Oh, so like with Silva, does he not change the team much at all each game? Is it just keep the same team, unless there's an injury? Like Conte right now at Tottenham.
Um, I can't see him changing the team against Tottenham. I can see the same lineup just because of how well the boys played on Tuesday. Beating Brighton, who were unbeaten. Am I just say?
Yeah.
We done a good job on them 0-0 at half time. We scored two quick goals with a Mitrovic tapping and an own goal from Dunkin' Donut. It's beautiful.
But so obviously you said that Fulham play like a more attacking football this year. But do you see them coming to Tottenham and playing a more open game, or do you see them coming to Tottenham and playing like a low block and not hit us on the counter?
Yeah, I can see Fulham being very defensive against you lot on the weekends. I can't see us attacking much, but when we do, we'll try to be as clinical as we can. You know, watch out for the crosses because I think that's what our main thing will be. You know, Cabano and Bobby on the wings, Pereira in the middle, very, very pacey and electric. And all they're trying to do is provide Mitro because he's a tank. He done a job on Van Dijk and hopefully he does a job on Sanchez.
So do you see Liverpool targeting Sanchez on the weekend and Emerson on the right hand side? Because yesterday, West Ham targeted Sanchez and Emerson when they were hitting us on the counter. Do you see that happening again from Fulham or not?
Don't know really. Like, you know, we didn't really target any Arsenal weaknesses. We just tried getting the ball as safely as possible without leaving gaps for them to expose. You know, we let in a deflected goal against Arsenal and we let in a corner and it was a stupid defensive error. So hopefully we can stop them kind of things happening against you lot and hopefully maybe if it was 0-0. I don't mind that, you know, it's still a point. But I'd want an exciting match if it is 0-0, but I don't think it will be 0-0.
So what players, apart from the obvious, Kane, and Kulusevski maybe, what players do you think can hurt Fulham that Tottenham have? And what weaknesses do Fulham have that Spurs can exploit?
Son
Son.
is, you know, Son will do some damage. You know, although he hasn't scored this season, he's from the games I've seen, he's deserved to score. I mean, yesterday was almost his goal. It was so close from being his goal. It ruined some fancy football points for me, but it was he should have scored yesterday, and I'm hoping it would be very Fulhamish for him to score against us on Saturday.
So is Fulhamish the name for Spursy for Fulham fans, I guess? Yeah. So you mentioned Son. So do you see Spurs, sorry, playing maybe
Yeah, pretty much.
counter-attacking? Do you see Spurs playing like counter-attacking against Fulham? Because for me, Son, his biggest strength is playing on the counter. When we play on the counter, we attack fast and play balls over the top from Kane. Son gets his goals. So do you see Spurs playing like a different style against Fulham, maybe?
I think Spurs will carry on playing the way they do. We've got very fast fullbacks with Anthony Robertson and Kenny Tete. And then off the bench, we've signed that PSG left back. Now, I don't know much about him, but I'm just happy because he's from PSG. It's a big club. So I'm like, ooh. And then we've got Babu from Wolfsburg, who I don't know, is a weak link. Like, if he's going to produce a ball in the box, he knows how to do that. He done it against Brentford, but defensively, he got absolutely torn apart against Arsenal. And he was one player that I was very worried with.
Interesting, interesting. Okay. So I was going to ask you also about just Fulham spending. So do you guys tend to, that's what the word is, like if you compare Tottenham's transfer spend to Fulham's transfer spend, do you think Tottenham's low transfer spend is justified? I don't know if that makes sense. But
Mm, I mean, Tottenham have spent within their budget, if that's the best way to say it. I mean, Daniel Levy is trying not to give as much money as he can, but Conte's doing the best to try get as much money out of him.
But obviously the reason I bring this up is because as Spurs fans, we look at teams like even like Fulham or other promoted teams like Nottingham Forest, who are able to spend like 100 and something million, and they don't really care that much about net spend. So, like, what justification does Tottenham have to act in that way compared to someone like Fulham? If that makes sense.
You know what? I look at it as it doesn't matter how much money you spend, it's the quality you bring in. So Nottingham Forest signing 19 players means absolutely nothing to me, you know. And then they're signing players, and they've got this their owners as owner of Olympiacos as well, and he's sending players that he's bought from Nottingham Forest to go on loan to Olympiacos. Like they're signing a player today from Blackpool. Is it Bowie? And he's going on loan now to Olympiacos. I'm thinking it's a bit dodgy deal. Then what Olympiacos can't sign players, so they have to try and get it through Nottingham Forest. But I look at it as, it's not about how much money you spend, it's the quality you can bring in and the experience.
So, with the deadline approaching in 3 hours, do you see Spurs actually signing a player?
Was you linked to anyone? I don't know. I just haven't really been
Oh.
following it a lot today.
So, the early murmurings this morning were we were linked to Hakim Ziyech, and then of course Dan James, and then some random Ukrainian winger who I can't really pronounce his name. So, do you see us signing anyone in the next 3 hours? Especially because, like I mentioned before, Spurs' weaknesses are, for me, centre half, right wing back, and a creative player.
It'll be a panic buy unless Conte just all of a sudden goes, Levy, I want this player now, please. Can we just ask what do they want? We'll give it to them. I need that player, and just start saying, do you want top four? This player will give us top four. But is this Ukrainian winger the one they call the Ukrainian Neymar by any chance?
His name is like Malinovsky or something like that. I don't think he's called Neymar or something. Neymar, no. But okay. So before I let you go, what's your score prediction for Saturday?
I'll say 1-1.
1-0. I'm going to say 2-1 Tottenham. So it's been great having you on, Muzzy, and we sort of got there in the end. So take care, and I know you're not a Spurs fan. I'm just going to say this: come on, you Spurs!